50 million Americans just woke up to record-breaking cold this morning. 18 inches of snow buried the East Coast overnight, and temperatures are running 30 degrees below average right now. But here's the crazy part. All of that is just the warm-up. What's coming in the next 7 to 10 days could completely flip everything we've seen so far. So let's break it down, city by city, day by day. All right, first things first. Let me catch you up on what's happening right now. We've got a massive Arctic air mass that is pushed all the way down into Florida. And I'm not exaggerating. Temperatures near Miami are hovering around freezing this morning. When was the last time you heard that? Oh, and speaking of Florida, if you're down there, you might want to watch your head. Yeah, I'm dead serious. Iguanas are literally falling out of trees right now. They go into cold shock when temps drop below 40, so it's basically raining lizards in South Florida. Now let's talk numbers, because they tell the real story. Across Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan, we're looking at sub-zero temperatures this morning. The Southeast is sitting 20 to 30 degrees below average. And if you're in the Carolinas, you already know what went down yesterday. So that winter storm that rolled through, it absolutely overperformed in some areas. But in others, it completely ghosted. Let me break it down for you real quick. If you were anywhere near Asheville, Greensboro, or the Charlotte Metro, you got hammered. We're talking 12 to 18 inches of fresh snow in those areas. But Raleigh, y'all got straight up robbed. A dry slot punched right through the triangle, and most folks only saw maybe 1 to 3 inches. Some isolated spots got 5 or 6, but that's about it. And can we talk about how people were out there using leaf blowers to clear snow off their driveways? I mean, hey, whatever works, right? Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from and how much snow you got. I want to see if the totals matched what we were expecting. Okay, so here's where things get really interesting. The weather pattern that's been dumping Arctic air into the East Coast is about to completely flip. Right now, our jet stream has this massive dip. Think of it like a U shape. It's funneling cold air straight down from Canada into Florida as we speak. That's why it's so brutally cold this morning. But starting tomorrow and into Tuesday, that jet stream is going to flatten out and shift more of a northwest to southeast flow. So what does that mean for you? It means we get a brief break, like catching your breath before the next round. Tuesday and Wednesday will feel almost normal in some areas. The Gulf Coast could see temps climb back into the 50s and 60s. Snow will start melting in the Carolinas and Virginia, but don't get too comfortable, because by Wednesday night and Thursday, another cold front is going to come screaming across the country. This one's going to impact the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and eventually the entire Northeast. Temperatures could drop 20 to 30 degrees in less than 24 hours. Now let me give you the city-by-city rundown, because I know that's what you really came here for. New York City. You're looking at a shot of snow Tuesday night into Wednesday. Then temps crashing by Thursday. Highs around 30 degrees. Lows dropping to about 18. And that wind is going to make it feel way colder. Philadelphia, same deal. Maybe a couple inches midweek. Then bitter cold moving in. Boston. You're going to see the heaviest snow later in the week. Friday into Saturday. Wind chills could potentially drop below 0 up there. Chicago. Buckle up, because the Midwest is going to get it first with snow Tuesday, more snow Friday, and below 0 wind chills this weekend. Highs only around 27, lows near 23, and it's going to feel absolutely brutal. Atlanta. You'll warm up briefly Tuesday, then another freeze comes through Wednesday night. Washington, D.C. Expect a mix of rain and snow midweek before the cold air locks in by Thursday. Detroit. You're right in the crosshairs for multiple rounds of snow and dangerously cold wind chills all week. Minneapolis. Honestly, you guys are used to this. But even by your standards, this weekend is going to be brutal. What city are you in? Let me know in the comments if you want me to do a deeper dive on your area next time. Now let's talk about what's brewing for the end of the week, because this is where it gets really active. We've got not one, but 2 Alberta Clippers. Those are fast-moving storm systems from Canada. They're going to slide across the northern tier of the country. Friday morning, we could see heavy snow developing across Wisconsin, Minnesota, and the upper peninsula of Michigan. These areas haven't seen much action lately, so this is going to be their turn. Meanwhile, another wave is going to push into the northeast Friday into Saturday. And here's the kicker. If these two systems merge together, we could be looking at a widespread snow event. from the Midwest all the way to the coast. There's even potential for a more intense storm to develop just off the New England coast Saturday into Sunday. If that happens, you're talking significant snow for coastal areas, plus strong winds that'll make it feel even colder. Let me break down the numbers we're watching right now. The Great Lakes region could see anywhere from 4 to 8 inches, depending on where exactly those clippers track. The Ohio Valley is looking at 3 to 6 inches, with higher amounts possible in the snow belts. Parts of New England could potentially see 6 to 10 inches or more, especially if that coastal low develops. Now, these numbers could definitely change as we get closer, but that's the ballpark we're looking at. The heaviest snow bands are going to set up somewhere between Friday afternoon and Saturday morning. If you've got travel plans for the weekend, you're going to want to keep a close eye on this. Pittsburgh, you're in a tricky spot where you could see rain mixing in before it changes over to snow. Cleveland, lake effect snow is going to pile on top of whatever the main system brings, so your totals could be higher. Buffalo, same story. Lake effect is going to be the wild card for you guys. Hartford and Providence, you're on the edge of where that coastal storm could really ramp up, so watch closely. But honestly, the snow is only half the story here. The bigger deal is the cold that's coming behind it. By Saturday night into Sunday morning, the Northeast could easily see sub-zero temperatures. And I'm talking about actual air temperatures, not wind chill. When you factor in the wind from that potential coastal storm, we could be looking at feels-like temps of 10, 20, maybe even 30 below zero in some spots. That's dangerous cold. The kind where frostbite can happen in minutes if you're not careful. The Mid-Atlantic won't be spared either. DC, Baltimore, Philly, you're all going to feel this one. And this cold isn't just going to blow through and leave. Models are suggesting it could linger across the Northeast well into the following week. We could be looking at 5 to 7 days of temperatures running 15 to 25 degrees below normal. For a lot of folks, that means high temperatures barely cracking the teens or 20s. Overnight lows could drop into the single digits or below zero for multiple nights in a row. Look, I know you're probably tired of hearing about Arctic blasts at this point. Trust me, I'm tired of talking about them. But this is just the reality of where we are in the pattern right now. January has been relentless, and February isn't looking any friendlier so far. If you're in an area that's going to get hit hard, now is the time to make sure you're prepared. Check your heating system, make sure your pipes are insulated, and stock up on anything you might need. And if you've got elderly neighbors or anyone who might need help, check in on them. This kind of cold can be really dangerous for vulnerable people. And speaking of patterns, I need to tell you about something developing that could make all of this look tame. Over the next week or so, we're likely going to see what's called a sudden stratospheric warming event up in the Arctic. Now, I know that sounds like a bunch of weather nerd jargon, so let me explain what it actually means. The polar vortex is basically a spinning mass of extremely cold air that usually stays locked up near the North Pole. Think of it like a top spinning really fast. As long as it's spinning strong, it stays in place. But when a stratospheric warming event happens, it's like someone bumping into that top. The vortex gets disrupted, weakens, and sometimes even splits apart. And when that happens, it's like opening a freezer door. All that frigid Arctic air that's been bottled up gets released and starts spilling down into the mid-latitudes. Models are already hinting that around the middle of February, we could see an even more significant Arctic outbreak than what we're dealing with now. The polar vortex might actually split into 2 separate circulation centers. If that happens, one of those lobes could park itself right over eastern North America. And that means extended periods of well below normal temperatures. We're talking potentially weeks, not days. This isn't a guarantee, but the signals are definitely there, and we need to be watching it closely. February is historically one of the most active months for winter weather anyway. We tend to see more snow, more ice, and more extreme cold during this stretch than almost any other time of year. Some of the biggest snowstorms on record have happened in February. The famous blizzard of 1978 that buried the Northeast, that was February. So if you were hoping winter was winding down, I'm sorry, but we're nowhere close to done. The groundhog might see a shadow this weekend, but honestly, it doesn't matter what that little guy says. The atmosphere is telling us loud and clear that winter has a lot left in the tank. Now here's the flip side. If you're on the West Coast, you're basically living in a completely different world right now. Los Angeles is looking at highs between 64 and 75 degrees, with lows around 50. Just absolutely gorgeous weather. So yeah, if you're in LA right now, maybe don't brag too much to your friends back east. San Francisco, similar deal, mid-60s and sunny. San Diego, even better, highs pushing into the low 70s with clear skies. Phoenix, you guys are doing just fine, with highs around 70 degrees and plenty of sunshine. This time of year is exactly why people move to Arizona in the first place. Denver, you're kind of caught in the middle. Highs in the 40s, but nothing like what the East Coast is dealing with. Seattle, you're looking at highs in the mid to upper 40s, with a chance of some light rain. Pretty typical Pacific Northwest weather, nothing too crazy. That ridge of high pressure out west is keeping things warm and dry, but it's also helping funnel all that cold air into the eastern half of the country. Classic winter pattern, and it doesn't look like it's changing anytime soon. Now let me hit a few more cities that I know a lot of you have been asking about in the comments. Miami, and this is wild, you're actually dealing with unusually cold temperatures for South Florida. Highs only in the 50s to low 60s, with lows potentially dropping below 40 degrees. For Miami, that is crazy cold, and we could see some record-breaking low temperatures. Remember those falling iguanas I mentioned earlier? That's why. Tampa and Orlando, same situation. Overnight lows could dip into the 30s in some spots. Houston, you're looking at highs in the mid-30s to mid-40s, with lows dropping into the 20s. That means temperatures below freezing, which is a big deal for Texas. Dallas, similar story, maybe even a touch colder, with highs only in the 30s to low 40s. If you're in North Texas, make sure you're protecting your pipes and keeping your pets inside. San Antonio and Austin, you're both looking at similar conditions to Dallas. Nashville, highs in the low 30s, with a chance of some light snow midweek. Memphis, same deal, freezing temps and maybe a dusting of snow possible. St. Louis, you're going to see multiple rounds of snow this week, with highs struggling to hit 30. Kansas City, similar pattern, cold and snowy, with wind chills making it feel even worse. Indianapolis, you're right in the path of those Alberta Clippers, so expect snow and bitter cold. Cincinnati and Columbus, both looking at 4 to 6 inches of snow possible, with dangerously cold wind chills behind it. Now, I know this all sounds pretty intense, and it is, but I don't want anyone to panic. I just want you to be informed and prepared for what's coming. Weather like this has happened before, and we've gotten through it every time. The key is just knowing what's coming, so you can plan accordingly. Stay flexible with your plans, keep your phone charged in case of power outages, and just use common sense. If you don't have to be out in the worst of it, stay home. All right, let me give you the quick recap before you go. Today through tomorrow, bitter cold continues with temps 20 to 30 degrees below normal across the east. Tuesday and Wednesday, brief warm-up for the Gulf Coast and parts of the South, but don't get used to it. Wednesday night into Thursday, another cold front arrives, bringing the next round of Arctic air. Thursday through Saturday, active weather returns with multiple rounds of snow for the Midwest and Northeast. This weekend, another major Arctic blast brings potentially sub-zero temps to most of the eastern United States. Looking ahead to mid-February, keep an eye on that polar vortex, because an even bigger cold outbreak could be coming. Meanwhile, the West Coast continues enjoying mild conditions. Must be nice, right? I'll definitely be updating you as we get more clarity on how everything plays out. For now, just take it one day at a time and stay on top of the forecast. Conditions can change quickly this time of year, so make sure you're checking in regularly. Stay warm out there, and drop a comment letting me know what the weather's like where you are right now. Are you dealing with the snow, the cold, both? Or are you one of the lucky ones out west, enjoying the sunshine? And if there's a specific city or region you want me to cover in more detail next time, let me know. I read all the comments, and I try to address as many requests as I can. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next forecast.